Well, you're here pretty good.
I'd like to call the East China Township Board meeting for August 4th, 2025 to order. Please call the roll.
Roll call. Supervisor Westrick?
Here.
Clerk Smith here. Treasurer Horn?
Here.
Trustee Gale? Here. Trustee Bebak?
Here.
Trustee Klein?
Here.
Trustee Richley?
Here.
Pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Agenda. I entertain a motion to approve. Agenda is written.
So move.
For support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Minutes, same thing. Chance to look them over.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Moved by Ms. Horn. Is there support?
Support.
Mr. Klein, is that right?
Yeah.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Presentations. Michael from Yo and Yo.
Step back here.
Our audit presentation.
Do you want me to turn this on or just speak?
Yeah, speak in the microphone. You should be good right there.
Is it on?
It should
Hello?
be already, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for the
Already set up.
TV recording. He should
Gotcha.
still holler at us if not.
Well, excellent. First of all, thank you for having me here. Again, my name is Mike Rolka, principal with Yo and Yo CPAs. I'm here to report the audit results of the December 31, 2024 fiscal year. So in front of you, you'll have the complete audit report and letters that accompany it, but you will also have this PowerPoint presentation here that is what I'm going to cover. It's the high-level, 10,000-foot view of things that you need to know, and it'll keep it brief for you. It touches on the numbers, goes over the audit opinion, and what our responsibilities are versus the township's responsibilities, and kind of let you know how things stand. So with that, let's move into it. So first, we'll talk about the audit opinion. This can only be issued by a licensed CPA firm. With that, though, there's a few things that management is responsible for. Management is responsible for the fair presentation and preparation of the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Management is also responsible for the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal controls, as well as looking at and considering going concern. And so that would be if you expect to go under within the next 12 months, which clearly is unlikely. Our responsibility as auditors is to express an opinion on these financial statements as to whether it is materially correct. So we provide reasonable assurance that it's materially correct, because we're not here for 10,000 hours conducting the audit, looking at every single transaction. We do it as a risk-based approach, and we do test selections. Of course, we tie out significant balance sheet items, look at all of the bank accounts and cash balances. With that, we have issued what is called an unmodified opinion, meaning it is a clean audit. These financial statements may be relied upon, and the numbers are materially correct. So that's what you want to hear every single time you see me stand here. Next, we'll dive into the numbers just a little bit, very high level. On the following page, you'll see a pie chart of what the general fund's revenues and other financing sources looks like. It was just short of $4 million for 2024. You'll see that big blue chunk there is property tax revenue. That's by and large the bulk of the revenue that's received. And then some of this revenue here, though, that came into the general fund as property taxes would have then been transferred out for other tax allocations. Pretty much every other category or classification of revenues was highly consistent year over year when compared to 2023. Tax revenues went up a decent amount due to an increase in taxable value, approximately $600,000 overall. In the following page, you'll see a 5-year trend of the revenues and other financing sources. I would like to call out 2023 and 2024, and the reason why that looks so much higher than past years. It's because of a change in the way the accounting was done for the property taxes. So they're initially, starting in 2023, collected in the general fund and then allocated out to the other funds, rather than only the net amount being recorded in the general fund, since there really is only an operating levy. So you'll see quite an increase there in 2024 compared to 2023, about $600,000, which is almost totally attributable to the property tax increase. Not tax increase, I shouldn't say that, taxable value increase.
And most of that was DTE.
On the following slide, a very similar pie graph. This is for the expenditures of the general fund and other financing uses. So that orange piece there where you see the transfers out, that is the amounts of property taxes transferred to other funds. And then every other classification, very similar to revenues, was highly consistent year over year compared to 2023. Once again, that transfers out was higher, but that's because more taxes were allocated to the other funds as it was collected in the general fund. The next slide shows the 5-year trend of expenditures. Very similar to the revenues. There was that change in the way that property taxes were recorded in 2023, so that's why you see such a large increase over 2022. And from 2023 to 2024, it's about a $400,000 increase because that's the amount that was allocated out to the other funds. Now, I don't have a slide on fund balance here, but having talked about the revenues and expenditures of the general fund, I would like to mention that the fund balance as a percentage of expenditures in the general fund is 114%, which means that you're very well funded. You have a safe rainy day fund in the general fund. The net increase to the fund balance in the general fund was $354,000 for 2024. The following slide shows the statement of net position for the sewer and water fund, summarized statement of net position. And I just want to point out a few of the highlights and what some of these large numbers are in these funds. So you'll see total non-current assets for both the sewer and water fund, or the biggest portion of assets, $8.7 million in the sewer fund, $12.2 million in the water fund. Those are almost all made up of the capital assets, so the infrastructure that it takes to have water and sewer services. And there's also some deposits in there with the authority. Down in the liability section, you'll see the biggest liabilities are the long-term debt. And so $2.3 million in the sewer fund, that's up $900,000 this year, and $6.3 million in the water fund. That's about twice as much as the year before, due to projects that have been approved in the past and drawing down on the state revolving fund loans that you've previously acquired. With that, I'd like to point out the total net position down at the bottom of the sewer fund is $5.6 million, and the water fund is $5.2 million. But recall, most of the net position in those funds is tied up with your capital assets. That's what's making most of those balances. So you can't think that you just have that much money in cash or availability to go and spend. It's really all invested in capital assets. Everything that's under the ground, basically. The next slide shows a snapshot of what your pension plan looked like at December 31, 2024. The blue bar there is the fiduciary net position, or what the investment asset balances are, so $6.2 million there. And the orange bar is the projected pension liability of $10.2 million. So what that means, if you put them together, is it's 60% funded, just over 60% funded, and the state is looking to see that the local units are 60% funded before having to do a corrective action plan to explain how it's going to be become 60% funded. The actuarially determined contribution was made during the year, meaning what your actuary calculated and said you should pay in order to fund this plan was paid. And the other thing I always like to point out with this is that blue bar, you know, for all we know next year, that could be $7.5 million, it could be $3 million. It's completely dependent on market conditions and kind of how the general economy is going. Next, the OPEB plan, so that's the retiree health care plan. This one is a little bit of a different picture. It's 120% funded, so you'll see $1 million in assets compared to a projected liability of $8.4 million. With both the pension and the OPEB plan, it's important to remember that the pension and OPEB liabilities are very big estimates. The actuaries have to take into account mortality rates, discount rates, investment rates of return, and other important factors, healthcare cost trends. So those numbers really can change quite significantly if those assumptions change even a little bit. It's really their best guess. The following slide, I'm happy to report we've identified no material weaknesses and no significant deficiencies in internal control. So as we look through internal control, we look for areas to provide additional levels of fraud prevention or ways for double checks to help make sure that everything happening here is appropriate. And so we didn't find any errors or any issues. Lastly, I'd like to go over some of the highlights of what I call the governance letter. So that would be the letter you all have included with your financial statement copy. These are required communications, and I hope you'll read them in their entirety, but I'll touch the high points here. So the qualitative aspects of accounting practices, there were a couple of new accounting standards that were implemented this year. They were required to be implemented. The first one, GASB Statement Number 100, Accounting Changes and Error Corrections. That one is how to report when there are error corrections from the prior year, or when new standards are implemented, making sure you're implementing it and disclosing it in a certain way. The next one, GASB Statement 101, Compensated Absences. That's a new model for recording compensated absences as liabilities for governments. So that would be vacation days, paid days off, sick days, whatever you may call them here or anywhere. How do you accrue those liabilities? There are significant estimates that came into play in developing these financial statements, including the pension and OPEB liabilities, as I mentioned, but a couple other estimates that were significant were the useful lives of capital assets. So for example, when you purchase a new truck, do you depreciate that over 5 years, 10 years, 7 years? Whatever your best guess is there. A lease receivable and deferred inflows related to that. That would be primarily, I believe, the cell towers. And along with the pension and OPEB liabilities, the compensated absence calculation is an estimate. There's 3 standards upcoming over the next couple of years. The first one would be certain risk disclosures, where we're now required to disclose in the footnotes particular risks that the township may be involved in that it really wants to get down to what has the township done or what is the plan to address that risk. One of the easiest ways to explain that sort of the footnote that I think of is if you have a major taxpayer and you know they're going bankrupt, how's that going to impact the township? Let's say some taxpayer is responsible for 10%, 20%, 30% of the property tax revenues. GASB Statement 103, Financial Reporting Model Improvements. This one's effective for 2026. It will have biggest impact on the budgetary schedules, the management's discussion and analysis, and the proprietary fund statement of net position. That one really changes some of the wording and terminology and clarifies what is operating versus non-operating revenues and expenses. The budgetary schedule will now require a variance column from original to final budget, as well as the current variance column from actual to final that is displayed. So when you're making those budget amendments and say we were to see, a state grant line and it was 0 to start the year, then you amend it to $1 million. Well, we would explain, we were awarded this new grant, we didn't know about it at the beginning of the year. The last upcoming standard that's been released is disclosure of certain capital assets. This is also applicable for 2026, and it just clarifies how they'd like to see intangible assets and assets that are held for sale to be disclosed in the footnotes. I don't expect a major impact from that standard. With that, I'd like to thank you all very much for selecting Yo and Yo as your auditor, and also I'm willing to take any questions you may have.
Thank you for being timely, Mike, appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. Try
I've
to
already
keep
seen a
it
lot of
brief
this
for you
stuff,
all.
but some of these other people haven't, so is there any questions from the board?
I have one.
Yeah.
When compared to other communities, our fund balance, I think I've asked this before, but the fund balance, is that significantly higher than other communities, or is it?
It's high, I will say it's higher than most, but it's still only like $2 million, right? So you think about how fast you can eat that up.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not City of Detroit here. $2 million for City of Detroit would be absolutely nothing, right? So you have to weigh, most communities try to target for 15 to 25%, but for a community of this size, I think a higher percentage is more reasonable. That's really up to you all, what you're comfortable with, what your risk tolerance is, but it is higher than the average.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Thank you for your time.
Thank you all very much.
Sure,
Have a
thank
great
you.
evening.
Thank you, too.
Thank you.
All righty, let's move on to public comment. Anyone that wants to address the board, please go to the podium, name and address, and that should suffice.
So thank you, and good evening. I'm Dr. Remington Nevin, 1970 River Road up in St. Clair Township. I'm Medical Director of the St. Clair County Health Department. I'm here as a courtesy to update you on some recent developments in the science and regulatory landscape pertaining to water fluoridation, a matter of increasing public interest. Last August, the National Toxicology Program concluded with at least moderate probability that fluoride at approximately double the recommended concentrations is associated with a risk of neurodevelopmental adverse effects. And on reviewing the evidence in September of last year, a federal district court ordered EPA to regulate fluoride at its current recommended concentrations under the Toxic Substances Control Act. And although EPA is appealing this ruling largely on procedural grounds, it does appear that EPA is not significantly questioning the science on which this ruling was based. The evidence is increasingly clear that total fluoride concentrations likely to be encountered through both treated water and ingested topical fluoride-containing products does in fact carry an unacceptable risk of neurotoxicity and cognitive impairment, particularly during early development. And accordingly, I believe it's only a matter of time before EPA does act, possibly to lower the maximum allowable fluoride concentrations, but likely, in my opinion, to prohibit the addition of fluoride altogether. And in anticipation of such very action, Florida and Utah have recently prohibited the addition of fluoride to municipal water, and over a dozen other states, though not Michigan, are considering doing the same. Across the nation, many municipalities are also prohibiting fluoride, including here in Michigan. But contrary to what you may have been advised, municipalities in Michigan do have complete discretion in this regard. Past ordinances in support of fluoridation, adopted decades ago, even by popular vote, should not be considered binding in light of this new evidence of neurotoxicity. And to my knowledge, neither Michigan law nor regulation restrict a municipality's executive or legislative authority to act to remove this threat. And in my opinion, it would be well advised for municipalities to at least consider doing this, as this would be supported by evidence and it would be consistent with the precautionary principle and with a proactive concern for the health of its residents. Now, in my advisory role as County Medical Director, I have recommended that the Health Department adopt regulations to formalize such a prohibition across the county. This is a recommendation only, and it would require formal action by both the health officer and by the county board to endorse, but I do believe this is the right thing to do. Our Advisory Board of Health meets the third Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. at the Don Dodge Auditorium, and I would encourage residents or officials to share their comments at a future meeting of the board if interested. Our department will likely also be organizing a more formal outreach effort to discuss this in the coming weeks, and in the interim, I can be reached through the Health Department. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Again, I'm Dr. Nevin, St. Clair County Health Department. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have been discussing that at our utility meetings here for the last year and a half, about coming up, as you well know. we're hoping we're gonna get some direction or additional information, but. Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Dawn Falk, 2583 Strawberry Lane, and I'm on the Advisory Board of Health for St. Clair County. And I just wanted to read this to you. Ever since Robert Kennedy Jr. became the Secretary of Health Secretary of Health and Human Services and expressed a desire to remove fluoride from the public water supply, I've been doing a lot of research on this subject. There are many theories and researches, both pro and con to this subject. It's definitely safe to say that the science is not settled on the fluoridation of public water since its introduction 60 years ago in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Science is always evolving, and I believe it's time to revisit water fluoridation. Out of 196 nations, only 24 have any fluoridation. Over 95% of the world is fluoride-free. Fluoridation is an outdated form of mass medication. Unlike all other water or treatment processes, fluoridation does not treat the water itself, but the person consuming it. The FDA accepts that fluoride is a drug, not a nutrient, when used to prevent disease. Fluoridating water is a form of medication. That's why most Western European nations have rejected the practice because, in their view, the public water supply is not an appropriate place to be adding drugs, especially when fluoride is readily available for individual use in the form of toothpaste. The obvious reason to end fluoridation is that fluoride's main benefit comes from topical contact with the teeth, not from ingestion. Even the CDC's Oral Health Division now acknowledges this. There's simply no need, therefore, to swallow fluoride, rather in water, toothpaste, or any other form. Further, despite early claims that fluoridated water would reduce cavities by 65%, modern large-scale studies show no consistent or meaningful difference in cavity rates of fluoridated and non-fluoridated areas. Fluoridated countries do not have less tooth decay than non-fluoridated countries. Fluoride supplements have never been approved by the FDA. According to the International Academy of Oral Medicine, fluoride is neurotoxic at any level. Neurotoxicity is damage to the nervous system caused by exposure to toxic substances such as fluoride. Most at risk are fetuses, infants, fluoride-sensitive individuals, low-income individuals, and people with workplace exposure, such as in heavy industry and individuals who work at at water treatment facilities. I just had a couple more, too. Let me see, water fluoridation. Fluoridation discriminates against those with low incomes. Research has indicated that fluoride does not aid in preventing pit and fissure decay, which is the most prevalent form of tooth decay in the U.S., or in preventing baby bottle tooth decay, which is prevalent in poor communities. Research has suggested that in malnourished children and individuals of lower social economic status, fluoride can actually increase the risk of dental caries due to calcium depletion and other circumstances. Moreover, people on low incomes are least able to afford avoidance measures, such as reverse osmosis or bottled water, or medical and dental treatment for dental fluorosis and other fluoride-related ailments. And there's just so much, so much information out there. You're going to read pro and you're going to read con. You just got to make up your mind for yourself, but it's just very, very compelling, all this evidence out there. So I hope you guys please consider removing the fluoride from your water. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, the next health advisory meeting is August 20th at 9 o'clock at the Don Dodge Auditorium, 200 Grand River Avenue. So we'd love to see you out there. Thank you.
9 o'clock a.m. or p.m.? A.m., okay.
You show up at 11 p.m. night before, just be early. Thank you. Again, like I said, we've been discussing this recently at our asset meetings and talking about it with our water plant supervisor, so. Any additional comments from anyone? Okay, see none, moving on to consent agenda, the C1 Park Commission meeting minutes for July 2025. C2 is professional development training request. C3 is a SEMCOG delegate alternate designation, and C4 is a quarter to OPEB. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll support.
Okay, been moved and supported?
You made the motion?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Disbursements, Ms. Warren.
Payroll, $44,252.47. Accounts payable, $383,793.43. EFT, $68,386.59. E-checks, $302.30. Taxes, tax count, $312,301.41. Invoices, $78,839.44, for a total of $887,875.64. And I make a motion to approve the disbursements as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call, Treasurer Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Gable?
Yes.
Trustee Bebop?
Yes.
Trustee Klein?
Yeah.
Trustee Richley?
Yes.
Clerk Smith, yes. Supervisor Wister?
Yes. Thank you. No old business that I have. New business, the first one, St. Clair County Parks and Recreation Millage. Again, this is something we do every year. It's a 2025 request. It's for the $21,221. If there's no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve this. It's a little bit more than last year,
I was just gonna say, I feel like it's a
Yep.
little bit more. I feel
Keep-
like we usually get about 16.
more money is better than less money.
18. I'll make that a motion.
Okay, is there support?
I'll support.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 2 is the second quarter budget amendment for 2025. You get a chance to take a look at this. I think, Mr. Klein, you were asking me some questions before we started here. Some of the grant revenues that are being added to the revenue side of it are stuff that has come in as of recently. We've identified some sources that have pledged the money, and we've actually received some as well, like the River Park and whatnot. And for the most part, the rest of it's moving around some money here and there just to account to actual occurrences versus what was estimated for the beginning of the year.
Hey, I saw, one item in there for that truck, and I thought we had money allocated for that.
The
For what now?
When we
DPW?
brought up that truck we were buying?
The DPW truck?
Well, I guess that's what it is in here. I saw it for 60 grand, I think. And if
Oh,
it was
yeah.
already, if the money was already there, why would it show up here, or is that something different? Thought I saw it.
Probably just moved from one account to the other.
Some of these were in the
Oh,
wrong
because,
account to
it's
begin
because
with.
we moved the DPW,
Yes.
used to be its own account, now it's in the general
Oh,
fund.
yeah,
That's why.
right there.
Yeah.
That answer your question, Jim?
It's because they reallocated, it used to be, the general
We got
fund
rid
used
of
to.
that fund as a general fund.
Correct,
Right.
correct. That's why I'd like, remember the audit, how
Okay,
it's all
so it's
jacked
showing
up.
up as amended budget item, but it's,
Yeah,
the
and
money was already there.
Mike's the
Okay,
one that
okay, I'm
they
fine.
wanted us to move that around along with Karen from our accountant firm.
Cool.
So, any other questions? Not? I'll make the motion to approve the second quarter budget amendments for 2025 as presented.
It's a resolution. It's a resolution form.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 06-2025, the amended budget for quarter 2, as shown in Exhibit A.
I'll support.
Supported by the treasurer. Any other discussion? If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call vote. Clerk Treasurer Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Gable? Yes. Trustee Bebop?
Yes.
Trustee Klein?
Yeah,
Trustee Richley?
Yes.
Clerk Smith, yes. Supervisor Wister?
Yes. Thank you. What else do we have? Okay, announcements, comments. I just want to let people know, there was some problems on the bike path that we're aware of, sinkhole or something, and our new DPW supervisor, he did a temporary fix on those. It seems like the culverts that we have in some locations are starting to rot out and sinking, so he's been patching them temporarily, but they will be done by this fall. He's gonna replace them on a week that he can schedule it. Kind of let people know that the bike path will be closed, just so you know, instead of just putting a sign up, you know. We'd like people to know, so we'll make sure we announce that way ahead of time, and also before the ash plant asphalt plant's closed, so we can get it paved back in too.
Is it at the north end, that area?
One was in over here
Is it
by the
north?
preserve, and he identified a couple, I believe, down on the path headed to Marine City too. So
Okay.
he's on that, and he's also working on, well, we've been working on trying to get the road commission back out to mow the vegetation back again. They've done it in the past for us, so we have a new guy now. He's, needs to be reminded of the priority. See if we can get him out there. And that's all I have. No?
So, I kind of cooled off thanks to Jim and Gisela tonight, but I was gonna bring.
Do you need another 10 minutes or so talking with him, or not? No?
I requested something to be on the agenda tonight, and I'm going to request it now for the next meeting. Elected official pay of the supervisor, clerk, and treasurer. I would like that to be discussed at our next meeting. And
I did get your request, and
Okay.
we've had those conversations at a few other meetings before when you've commented about it, and there has been no other interest from any other board members to actually, to discuss that. So unless, you know,
the
if we can-
issue.
if that's something the board as a whole wants to do, I'm happy to do it, but I
I
know
guess
that
the
you're complaining about certain things, and I get that, and that's your opinion, and you're entitled to that.
The question that I have is, because each member has statutory duties to complete according to the law, and what I wanna know, I don't wanna know who's responsible for it, cause that's obviously you three, but I wanna know who fulfills it. I wanna know who actually does the work.
Yeah.
That's what I wanna know.
Well, I think that if that's something that we want to do, we should schedule a work session for something like that, and we can discuss that, if you'd like.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear from the rest of the board members. I specifically went and looked in the red book for mine, and all the statutory duties of supervisor are now being performed by me. But again, along with assistance from all of our staff, which everybody does. You know, none of us can do the statutory duties without assistance from the staff. But, you know, the stuff that was from the manager has been transferred back to me, and I'm taking it, so. But,
okay,
I'm gonna send an email out. If there's some other interest, we'll try to make a work session for that, okay?
okay.
I think that's best discussed.
Even if
that
we
way.
don't have a work session, I just wanna know the answer to that question, who does the work? That's,
Yeah, and answer for me, basically, a lot of the staff with these reports and stuff is where I get my information from. And the upcoming, budget for next year will be a lot with our bookkeeper. I'll be spending a lot of time with her. And of course, our director of public services will help me with the rest of it, but, you know, so, yeah, I made it a point to go look at the book for that, but I
yeah,
basically have been doing most of those duties that maybe should have been somewhere else, but they haven't been, so.
okay. The other thing is employee complaints. I wanted to, know if I could get a copy of, in the last 6 months, any complaints that have been filed by employees. I
Yeah,
sent the email about that, but,
I contacted the attorney for that, because I'm not sure, and I was gonna ask our treasurer, she's with the HR department here. I just wanna make sure it's okay that I don't do something I'm not supposed to do. I think it's kind of, if the complainant's okay with it, I think we can do that. So,
I think it's FOIA-able. So it's like if it's FOIA-able.
yeah, I don't know if part of their employee file is confidential or not, and I don't know if that's part of it.
Part of
I'll
it
have an
is,
answer,
but I
I have
mean,
no
the
problem sharing it
complaint-
with you if it is, so I'll
Okay.
have an answer on that.
Okay. And then the drainage issue on Vista Bell Court and Meisner Road. I noticed the other day, as I was, well, like over a week ago, but I was passing by again after, a couple days after a rainstorm, still a lot of water there. I know it takes time, but I think,
Well, I'll put that on the road commission's list again. I have a few other things, because we did contact them.
okay,
And they think they have a block pipe or a collapsed pipe somewhere, so.
okay.
Vista again, right?
Yeah.
Vista Bell.
Right
Thank
on-
you for
well-
bringing that up, Alan, because I live on that road, but I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want people to think that, you know.
It's
I-
bad. It's-
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
has been since they resurfaced that,
Yeah,
before I got on it's bad, and the water just stands there.
yep,
It's at Vista Bell.
Vista Bell
Meisner,
Court.
And
yeah.
And Meisner.
Right.
Yep.
I'll ask him about that
Can't miss
again.
it.
I know that, we asked Steve to go take a look, but he couldn't determine anything. But it's road commission anyway. I'll remind him again.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Klein?
I'm fine.
Gang?
I have a few.
Okay.
I have questions about the little grocery Has there been permits pulled? If not, when is the demolition supposed to start?
Yes, and I can't remember exactly, but it's in August sometime. I asked Tracy about that.
Demolition is?
Yeah, I think he said it was scheduled for the, I'm not gonna say the exact date, but he said August.
Okay. Also to let everybody know, there's an upcoming event and the Historical Commission will be joining in on the yard sale trail on Friday from 10 to 3 and Saturday from 10 to 3. We will be featuring items that we do not have room for in the displaying of, items, so. And also Saturday is our open house at the Red Brick Schoolhouse. And since we're gonna be there for the yard sale trail an hour earlier, everybody is welcome to come through there too.
Great.
Also, let me see. I was on the Cemetery Advisory Committee and we had a meeting the other day. And we will be submitting to the agenda, hopefully next agenda, a price increase for burial materials used in the foundations and other things. It has been 3 years since an increase, and our objective is to bring the cemetery fund into the black, as it has been below costs in the last 2 years. Also, there has not been, if you don't have an increase, there's no gain. And we would like to see that the funds are gonna be available for future projects that we were thinking about. We've been thinking about maybe a scatter garden with butterfly bushes. Green burial in Michigan has we are a very green state. And I'd like to see something progress with that. And maybe row markers, it makes it easier for the visitors to find the graves. So right now there are no markers or any type of information.
Can I ask a dumb question, Debbie? It's something that I don't know off the top of my head, but in the cemetery fund, is there a fund balance or no? Or is it just money that's getting taken from the general fund?
I think it's basically from the general fund,
Oh,
isn't
okay.
it?
Okay.
Yeah, but
And
they
Usually
can
the
carry it if
expenses
they need
usually
to.
Right,
exceed
yeah.
what we.
And as it's going now, like the columbariums, the 2 new ones that we put in place, already 12 of them have been taken.
Oh,
So it's a growing thing. People want to use the columbariums.
mm-hmm.
So I can see the necessity of it being a fund started so that in 10 or 15 years when we have to put in some new ones, we don't have to take, tens of thousands of dollars from the community,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Yeah, and our DPW supervisor said that they were over trimming trees and doing a lot of work over there.
Yeah.
He said it looks a lot better.
That's good. And one last thing. I spoke with Jamie, our assessor to the township, and this has been a few weeks ago and I haven't been able to get back with him. And he is willing to come in to answer questions about the property taxes. So, because Alan is always bringing up how East China has got the most expensive taxes and all that, and he is willing to come in and talk to everyone and answer questions, so, at our meeting.
That's good. At our meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah. And he is available by appointment too. He's in the
Yes.
township certain days of the week. so.
Yeah. so,
Thank you.
and that's it.
If there's nothing else,
I'll
I
make a
do have
motion to
one.
adjourn.
We-
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, I almost forgot. They've started collecting petition signatures for the canal cleaning. That'll be up for 2026, it'll be on the winter tax bill of this year. So they're, just started that process.
okay?
There's about 170, and they have to get 51% of the 170
To do it.
to qualify. That's just an update.
All right, anything else?
I made the motion.
If the move to adjourn, is there support?
Support.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.